I'll get into this first segment. This week, gentlemen, the name on the marquee has got to be Johnny Eblen, who this past Friday, June 24th, at the Mohegan Sun Arena in Uncasville, Connecticut, defeated Gegard Mousasi via unanimous decision, earning a 50-45 on all three judges' scorecards. In doing so, becoming the new Bellator middleweight champion. Mark, let me send it over to you first. What was your assessment of Eblen's performance and the outcome of Mousasi, the great, finally toppling?
I'm still fucked up from this. Watching Gegard Mousasi be handled 50-45 by Johnny Eblen is not something I was expecting to see on Friday night. I know Gegard had a bad cut where he supposedly cut 24 pounds in the last 24 hours, which is obviously a shitload in a day. I know there were a lot of interviews where Gegard seemed to not be taking Eblen seriously, like saying like, "Oh, what does he do? Like, does he wrestle? As if he like hadn't even looked into him." Who knows how much stock to actually put in those? It could just be mind games. It could be that he's gotten cocky from his recent performances because of how good he's looked and maybe didn't prepare the way he should have until he got a name he knew across from him. He thought he was just going to keep walking through these guys. It could be all those things, or it could be that Johnny Eblen is just better and is a real deal top 5 middleweight in the world. And we never knew it because that's the nature of Bellator. Well, I shouldn't say of Bellator, of Bellator's middleweight division, because it's Gegard and no one else, and then the rest. There's no one for guys to beat on the way up to make you say, oh, shit, this guy's a real one. So they kind of just have to work through the pack, and then they're at Gegard, and you have no reason to think they're real because you haven't seen them beat anyone real. And this is what can happen, and maybe it's what did happen. Maybe Johnny Eblen is this good, and no one knew it. And it's not just us. Like, to be clear, no one knew it. Like, no one thought Johnny Eblen was 50-45ing Gegard Mousasi. So we're not going to know the answer to the question unless we see these guys run it back. Obviously, it could have been a bunch of different things. But bottom line is Johnny Eblen handled Gegard Mousasi on Friday night. Right as we're like, in our prime of anointing Gegard as the best middleweight, not named Izzy or maybe Whitaker, So it was impressive. I mean, Johnny Eblen was faster. He looked powerful in there. He mixed in the wrestling really well. He had Gegard reacting to him all fight. Letting Eblen go first and reacting. It was almost like Gegard forgot what a killer he was. And Eblen made him work. Like, he made him eat shots. He did really well defensively to evade what was coming back at him from Gegard. And honestly, he just looked super well-rounded. Like, I said it last week. I knew Eblen was good. Like, I thought he was more of a threat than Vanderford and Salter were, but I didn't see this from Johnny Eblen. I mean, he looked incredibly well-rounded. If this was real, and he is really a top 5 middleweight talent in the world right now, then it's a shame that no one knew that going in, because there probably would have been a lot of eyeballs on that fight. But it's an enormous win. We'll see if we get another one out of it, but you can't do better than Johnny Eblen did with that opportunity, and he is the new Bellator middleweight champ.
All right, let's bring Omar in here. Omar, would you say it was more of Mousasi having an off night, Mousasi looking old, or is Eblen, like Mark was saying, possibly one of the better middleweights in the world that we didn't realize?
Yeah, it's hard to kind of pinpoint exactly which one specifically is the sole cause. It might have been, like Mark said, every single one of those things. It could have been none of those things. Eblen could really just be that good. The reality of the situation is there are a few facts that we could take away from there. Eblen was faster in that fight. Whether Gegard Mousasi's weight cut or whatever contributed to the way he looked in that fight, maybe that's not the actual speed Gegard Mousasi is on a regular basis, or where he normally would be without that crazy weight cut. But the fact is, that night Eblen was visibly faster for all 5 rounds. He was also striking with Gegard quite a bit. It wasn't like he was holding him down for 5 rounds and squeaked out a win. He fought Gegard Mousasi everywhere, and he won everywhere that he put on that he was stuck with Gegard Mousasi. Ground, cage, striking. He knocked down Gegard, I think, at least twice, if not more. but he definitely
was
knocked
twice.
Gegard down, especially in the first round. He knocked him down twice. So
Yeah,
it was a crazy, crazy, crazy fight when it comes to what the expectation was. But at the same time, it's a great win for Eblen. I mean, I know I talked some wild shit last week about Gegard
all did.
Mousasi and, you know, where he's supposed to stand and the people that are getting thrown at him and things like that. And Eblen shut a lot of people up because I'm sure I probably wasn't the only one talking wild shit.
Dude, they were
good
going
for
on
him,
and
man.
on
It was
about how Khabib called him the most underrated fighter in MMA, and then he goes out and gets smoked.
Oh, well, I mean, Eblen looked good, man. Eblen looked really, really good, and it might be a combination of Eblen rising to the occasion and Gegard Mousasi simultaneously not taking the event seriously, not taking the moment seriously, believing a little bit too much in his hype, which ironically I think is something that he's always been concerned about. So it might have just been the perfect storm, and we'll see what ends up happening. I think a rematch is definitely in order, and hopefully they can do something like that.
Okay, let's talk about where these guys go from here. I want to go back to this idea of that Mousasi, you know, he's got a lot of miles on that body. He's got a lot of fights. He's been fighting forever. Mark, let me send it back over to you. Do you see Mousasi walking away after this?
No. I would be shocked if he did. The way he's been talking lately, he seemed like he was intent on carving more of a path through people in Bellator, possibly going up in weight, et cetera, et cetera. I can't see him walking away just because one fight went wrong. Personally, I hope they do the rematch. I get it that Mousasi hasn't been the the Bellator champ for his entire time there. He did lose it to Rafael Lovato, who then had to drop it because he was forced to retire because of a health issue. But that blip aside, it does feel like Gegard has reigned over that Bellator middleweight division for a long time. And on top of that, there's no one there other than my guy Anatoly Tokov, who got another first-round finish on this card, who even feels like they remotely deserve a title shot, but they still have Tokov fighting random, so you would think he has to fight someone before he was given a shot. So him aside, I don't see any reason that you don't run this back, particularly because of how out of nowhere Eblen feels. And now if you run it back, you got a lot of eyeballs of people wanting to watch Johnny Eblen versus Gegard Mousasi that you didn't have the first time. So I think it works. Either you get Gegard winning his belt back and then you have a big trilogy on your hands, or Johnny Eblen wins again and you have the whole world saying, holy shit, Bellator's got this guy Johnny Eblen and he's the real deal.
So you think the rematch should be run back right away? It's the first thing?
I think so. I don't think there's any reason not to. I don't think there's any guy there that needs to get his shot first. If it's up to me, I do it right away.
Omar, agree, disagree?
I would agree. I think it's crazy that Johnny Eblen is 12-0 and actually did that to Mousasi. I think it's wild. And personally, as somebody who's seen Gegard Mousasi fight quite a bit, and I'm assuming a lot of hardcore fans probably feel the same way, we just need to make sure that shit wasn't a fluke. That's kind of where I'm at, right?
Literally, same.
I just need to make sure it wasn't like if Johnny Eblen can do it again, then that's totally fine, and you know I can accept that. It is what it is, but I need to make sure that wasn't Mousasi just on an off night, cutting weight. That, you know what I mean? Like whatever. I just need to make sure all the variables. If we did it again, are we going to get the same result? That's kind of where I'm at.
Okay.
Same.
All right, guys, let's move on in the interest of time. Congrats to Johnny Eblen for being on the marquee this week